Hello, Brett Cushing here with Nystrom and Associates. I'm here to talk with you a little bit about how we can offload some guilt and upload some grace to ourselves and in our relationships. Guilt and shame are so powerful, but powerful in a negative way for many of us in our relationships. I often tend to see, like, when we believe we're guilty of something in a relationship, we tend to feel, well, shame. Why is that? Because we're thinking, I should be doing this, or I should have done that better, or I shouldn't have been like this, or I shouldn't have been like that. And all these shoulds that we have in our head result in a feeling of shame that consequently becomes behaviors where we shut down and we shut out. So specifically, what I see happen a lot of times when we have guilt that we think we should or shouldn't have done something, we tend to feel shame, and then that results in shutting out and shutting down, and it ultimately hurts the relationship. So I want to share with you two quick things that can help you offload that guilt and upload some grace in your relationship and make life a lot more enjoyable. Two simple things. One is something we stop saying, and the other is something we stop thinking. And also not something we stop saying, but something we start saying instead. So for instance, instead of saying I'm sorry all the time, which assumes a position of guilt and it tends to be really negative, we can start saying, rather than I'm sorry, we can say, hey, thanks for understanding. When we say I'm sorry for this or that all the time, we're always tending to default to a double negative, if you will. For instance, when I say I'm sorry, I'm assuming a negative about you. I'm assuming that you're the kind of person that may not understand. And I don't know if that's always fair. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I also am kind of assuming that I'm not worthy of somebody really understanding in the first place. So instead of saying all the time, hey, I'm really sorry, we replace that and we start saying something else instead. We start saying, thanks for understanding. So we come in late for something or we forget something, and we say, instead of I'm sorry, we start to say, thanks for understanding. I really appreciate that. Notice the flavor of that, if you will, how that feels. It's really positive because it's assuming the best of you, that you're the type of person who's going to really understand. And it assumes the best about me, that I'm a human being and I can make mistakes. So that's what we can stop saying and what we can start saying to offload some guilt and upload some grace. But also we need to start thinking a certain way. We can stop thinking that things are always my fault. So we can stop thinking that things are my fault, and we can start thinking a little bit differently. Like, we can start to ask, well, how can I help? So if we have a relational problem with somebody, we might default to thinking, well, it's my fault for how this person feels or how this person is thinking or what they or how they're reacting. And instead of thinking that way, like it's my fault and my responsibility, instead we start thinking and we start inquiring. We start thinking, how can I help? So if somebody's upset, if your wife or your spouse or your kiddos are upset, instead of thinking it's your fault and you need to fix it, what you can do is approach it differently by thinking differently and asking, how can I help? Notice when I think it's my fault, my focus is all on me. And then I want to try to fix and control. People don't respond real well to that. However, when we stop thinking about it being my fault and start considering, hey, how can I help? What are your needs right now? My focus is off of myself and it's on the other person. People receive that much better. They feel as though you really do care about them and that you are there for them, not to fix it for them, but to help them. So notice when we stop saying certain things like, I'm really sorry, and we start saying things like, thanks for understanding. And we stop thinking things like it's my fault, and we start thinking rather, hey, how can I help? And we ask people, how can I help? We are just in those two little tweaks. We're actually offloading a lot of guilt and uploading a lot of grace for ourselves and in our relationship. I hope this helps. Thanks for tuning in.